What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Bama Tailgate Daily on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel with Chad Anderson. I'm Mick Gillispie. This is your invite to the best tailgate party on the quad. We want you to be part of the channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Thank you for being here. And here's your official invitation. Saturday showdown, Bryant-Denny Stadium. LSU's in town. Game day will be there from ESPN. I guess that makes this a big game. If it wasn't already, it's a night game. What is it, like 8 o'clock at Bryant-Denny?
6:45.
6:45. Okay, earlier then. Okay, 6:45 Central Time that right. Alabama plays against LSU. That's better than 8 o'clock. This matchup is going to come down to how Alabama plays against Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels transferred from Arizona State last year. He was a really tough problem for Alabama and their overtime loss to LSU. This year, he's been fantastic. His quarterback rating is high, right? It's over 185, 205 against conference opponents. He runs, he throws. He's going to be the best quarterback that Alabama's seen this year. And in the games where he's had over 100 yards rushing. The only team that really slowed him down rushing-wise was Arkansas, but that was more of Arkansas just trying to keep pace. I didn't really feel like they were going to lose that game. It was close, kind of like Alabama and Arkansas. Yeah. But the games where he's had to run, he's ran. And Bama has historically had trouble with these dual-threat quarterbacks.
Yeah, historically they have for sure. However, I do think that Alabama has gotten better. You know, if you go back 10 years, think about that. That was when Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, some of those guys, Cam Newton, were in the league, and that was always a big problem for Alabama. Not that those guys weren't good anyway, but that was just a problem for Alabama as they constantly had to deal with those dual threat quarterbacks, and Alabama struggled with that. And that was something Nick Saban and Kirby Smart always had to adjust to. Alabama, though, has gotten so much better, in my opinion, at that recently. Joe Milton, who's not necessarily a complete mobile quarterback, but he can run. Jackson Dart with Ole Miss, he can run and throw. Chad Kelly with Ole Miss, you remember him? He actually beat Alabama a time or two. But Alabama, they were still able to, at times hold these guys in check. It wasn't the kryptonite that it used to be. So the thing is that really just surprises me, maybe not surprising, but just comparing to last year, Jayden Daniels is just simply so much better as a quarterback in general. So last year he threw for only 182 yards against Alabama. He ran for 95. And this year, he has just gotten so much more comfortable in his position. He's learned the system. He's got an extra year now with Brian Kelly. He's got great receivers and playmakers all around with neighbors. Mason Taylor, who a lot of you may know as Jason Taylor, the former Miami superstar defensive player. That's his son. He's just got a lot of good athletes. And LSU always has, Mick. They always recruit well. Even Les Miles and Ed Orgeron recruited well. Brian Kelly has done a nice job. So it's just not surprising, but that Jayden Daniels has become what he's become. But Alabama did have some trouble with him last year, and he's only better this year. However, Bama's better defensively at putting pressure and having a little more of a physical and in-your-face and high-intense defense compared to what Pete Golding had with the Tide.
Yeah, very good QBR. You look over there on the side, and we were talking about before, and then you take the career stats, the RTG, which was what I was talking about before, 204.3. I mean, the guy's he's really come into his own. He's one of the toughest, quarterbacks that Alabama's going to face. But you're right, though. The way that they attacked Jackson Dart and the way that they took Jackson Dart and made him one-dimensional, and then the way that the defense took the pass away from some of those great options that Ole Miss has to give you confidence if you're Alabama going, you know what, with Malachi Moore having some rest on the ankle, right? Yep. And 2 weeks off. Kool-Aid McKinstry in the secondary. I got a feeling Kool-Aid's going to have a lot to prove after, kind of the thing with the punts. I bet you he comes out with his helmet on fire playing his best football this year. You mentioned Caleb Downs and Terrion Arnold. I mean, you got all those guys in the secondary that can do a lot. They're going to be tested. But my thought is you put pressure on Daniels, you hit him, and you force him to make a mistake or make mistakes. He did that against Florida State, and they didn't win the football game. The defense got torched by Ole Miss. Different style game. I didn't put that on Daniels, but they lost that as well.
Yeah, Alabama's, to me, the game plan, I'm far from, a crazy expert, but this just seems so obvious to me. You're just playing keep away. I mean, that's all you're doing in this game. You just say, look, our defense, if LSU is going to get the ball 12 times in the game, our defense needs to stop them 7 times, 8 times. And you say, wow, you're going to let them score 5. I'm like, well, I'm assuming 1 or 2 of the drives are field goals. So I think if you're Alabama, you say, hey, keep LSU under 30 points. We win the ball game. If you get over 30, Alabama's not going to, but they could have a very difficult time because Alabama's offense isn't built to score like they have been in the past. And some of you may say, well, they scored 34 on Tennessee, but remember, one of those was a fumble, scoop, score, touchdown. So really the offense only produced 27 points in that for Alabama. I just think it's a game of keep away. You keep Jayden Daniels off the field. You get a stop every other possession at worst, and really just try to run the ball because you got to keep the playmaker off the field. And Jayden Daniels has completely evolved into that. And there have been some people talking about the defenses he's played and whatnot, but look at that. I mean, again, Auburn is not a bad defensive team. They're just not. They've done a pretty good job all year on the defensive side. Missouri, not the greatest defensive team, but you did go on the road to play Missouri. You put up 49 on the road. I don't care who you are. That's hard to do. You went up and put 49 on the road against Ole Miss. They put up 41 against Mississippi State, who, has a decent defense. I just mean, like, it's not this narrative that they haven't played any good defenses. I just don't buy it. I mean, let's just give credit where credit's due. And Mick, if you look at all those games, one of their 2 losses was the only time they didn't score 30 points. So if you keep them under 30, you have a shot. If you let them get into the 30s, then Alabama's going to have to do a lot of things offensively that they haven't done this year.
Yep. Well, look at it, too. He was sacked 4 times against Florida State. And all of a sudden, even though he was running for his life, he still threw for 346 yards. And he also ran for 64 yards. So he threw 1 interception. So even his worst game wasn't that bad. But you know what? Nick Saban and Kevin Steele and those guys having 2 weeks to game plan for this one, I feel like it's going to benefit Alabama. I just don't see them cutting through Alabama's defense like they did against Auburn or against Mizzou. I think Alabama's going to slow them down. They're going to have to make some adjustments in this football game. And that, to me, is where Alabama's going to have to take advantage and score points.
Yeah, Alabama's the best defense they will have faced. I don't buy into some of the both sides are wrong. Where Alabama fans are screaming they haven't played a good enough defense. They've played some good defenses, just not a defense like Alabama. LSU fans talking about how their offense is going to march up and down the field. That's wrong as well. Your Daniels is going to get hit. He's going to get popped. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to have a good game. And he's going to take a hit or two. Alabama just has to make sure that they keep everything in check. And remember the Texas game, Mick, Quinn Ewers, it just seemed like every time they had to come up with a big play, they did.
Yeah,
and Alabama didn't pop Ewers. They didn't hit him really all night long. And they got torched a couple of times deep. And that's really it. Is Alabama's, it's going to be like the Texas game in a way, except you're going to have an even more mobile quarterback than what Ewers was. and you're going to have athletes all over the field, and you're going to have to hope Alabama's defense is able to get pressure. And then you're going to have to also hope that Alabama's defense has grown enough in the last 2 months to where that the secondary can, keep everything in front or out of the end zone. It's got to be that second half against Tennessee. And we've talked about this. The good and the bad with Tennessee. The bad was how the first half went. The good, obviously the second half, but the overall good, this team still hasn't played 60 minutes, Mick.
Yep.
They still haven't done it. They haven't put it all together for 4 quarters, and they're still somehow in the driver's seat, 7-1, in the West driver's seat in the playoff conversation. But Jayden Daniels is going to be by far the toughest test so far this year.
We'll find out on Saturday, 6:45 Central Time. Alabama and LSU will be on after the game with our post-game analysis, talking about the matchup and everything else. We'll also have the Bama Tailgate show live Friday from Innisfree, and we'll be doing what's that?
Do you think it might be a little nuts Friday around 5:00 at Innisfree?
I think it could be. I think we're going to actually go on early again too. And
yeah, I think the free is going to be at a different level Friday night with the LSU brethren in town for this one. They're a different breed for sure.
They are. All right, guys, make sure that you like and subscribe, comment in the comment section. Roll Tide, thanks for being here. And we'll be talking to you all week about this matchup.